burn, basically. So I went outside.
What you're about to hear is real. The participants are not paid actors. The opinions are authentic. The disputes are real. And the rulings are final. All rise and salute all things rock. This is Trunk Nation, led by Eddie Trunk.
Love everything you talk about.
What's going on, everybody? How the hell are you? Been a few days here, but it is good to be back in the saddle, as Aerosmith would say, and getting ready to spend the week talking rock music with you as we do here on Trunk Nation. You, of course, have it tuned to Sirius XM Channel 103. That would be Faction Talk, or perhaps you're listening using the Sirius XM app. If you are listening and it is 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, you are hearing a live show. If it is not that time and you're on the app, well, you're listening to us, of course, on demand, which is also cool, and we appreciate that. I appreciate you guys listening however you do, whatever way you get the show. Thank you for getting involved in it. If you are in the 3 to 5 Eastern, noon to 2 Pacific window, we always, of course, welcome your involvement if you're listening to us live. And you can do that using the phones at 844-686-5863. That is our number. And as I always tell you guys, too, if you are listening on the app and it is in the live window, you can easily call into the show by just hitting the little phone icon on the app. That'll dial you right into us as well. Coming off of the 4th of July weekend, a long weekend for most. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have all your fingers and limbs intact. I saw some people blowing off industrial grade fireworks here in Vegas, where I am and was over the weekend. That was just astonishing. Where I live, there is a tremendous amount of new construction always going up throughout this entire town. I have never seen a town grow like this in my life in terms of construction. But right to the surrounding areas of me are undeveloped lots. So basically just chunks of desert. So it's prime turf, because there's a lack of turf, to light off fireworks, because it's, probably the safest place you could do it, despite the fact that it's so dry here. But there's nothing. There's not even grass. There's nothing to burn, basically. So I went outside on my driveway, and there is a casino right to the right of me called the M, very close to me. It's more of a local spot. And then I can see the Sphere from my driveway, the top of the Sphere. So I had some friends over. We went outside. And I was like, if we just stand on the driveway, we can pretty much see down to the Strip. We can see all over Vegas. We can see the whole valley. We could see the M. We could see everything. Just stand here, and at 9 o'clock, we'll just see everything blow off. So that's what we did. But some of the industrial grade fireworks were actually like didn't hold a candle to some of the stuff that it seemed like people were just lighting off themselves. And out on this open dirt, people were just blowing shit off left and right. And then I went to a party my friend Red Cup Jeff did the night before 4th of July. He blew off a display in his backyard unlike anything I'd ever seen that wasn't commercial grade. It's crazy. And I'm just thinking of all the money that you just spent to put on that 10 minutes of display. I'm like, it's got to cost a couple grand. You just blew it up in 10 minutes. What's the point? I watched the ones coming off the top of the casinos for free. But I mean, when I was a kid, I used to love lighting off fireworks. I just, it's one of those things that changed as I got older, and I'll watch them, but I don't need to go drop $1,000 to blow everything up in 5 minutes. But look what I did. But it's, watch somebody else doing it, all good, as long as they're being safe about it. But it was nuts. Just everybody just blowing stuff off left and right. And it was great. It was great. I think everybody got out unscathed, at least the people that I know. So whatever you got into over the 4th of July weekend, I hope it was safe. I hope you had a good time, and I hope you enjoyed celebrating the 250th birthday of the USA. Again, I was in Vegas and got a chance to see a ridiculous amount of fireworks on Saturday. Every casino pretty much blew them off from the roof simultaneously, almost in sync, at 9 o'clock local time. And one last thing on this, and I thought about this. I was watching all the news coverage as 4th of July was ramping up over the weekend. News coverage all over the country, about who was doing fireworks and whatever. And most of the places that were doing professional fireworks were being done by this company called Garucci. Now, when I was a kid going to Mets games, one of the big things we did as a family was we'd go to Shea Stadium and go to Mets games a few times a year. And one of the big things was to go and have tickets to a Mets game on fireworks night, because they would always, when the game would end, and most of the time the Mets would lose, as is the case this season, we would, they would, at Shea Stadium, they would blow off these fireworks. And it was it was like the best fireworks anybody had ever seen. It was a thing. I mean, there's people used to go just to see the fireworks. They didn't even care about the baseball game because they were that good. And it was always promoted as on TV, the Garucci brothers doing our fireworks at Shea Stadium for the Mets game. I swear every newscast that I saw over the weekend, the fireworks were being done by the Garucci brothers. It was like, these people must have an empire. Even here in Vegas, they're on the top of the casino. There's the Garucci brothers. So I was thinking about this the other day. Here in Vegas alone, now this is a big city, obviously, tons of tourism and all that. But here alone on Saturday night, there must have been, I don't know, 20, 30 professional launched fireworks displays that went off at 9 o'clock. That's just in Las Vegas alone, I would estimate, between all the casinos and all that. Now you factor in the whole country. Every year, everybody wants their fireworks, if they can get them, on 4th of July. And it got me thinking, because these are the things I think about. How many professional fireworks people are there in this country that have their expertise and their training all available on the same day? Because every city in this country wanted to do fireworks or does fireworks on 4th of July. How do you have, whether you're the Garucci brothers or anybody else, how do you have that many people to dispatch across all of America on one day? Now, I know fireworks go off on other days. People do them. Here, they're doing them, I think, every Saturday for the summer. But so I get that, and that's scattered. That's not as, but you have got that big demand day. It's like Christmas Day for the fireworks industry. How do you have, essentially you need thousands of people to dispatch. And what do they do the other 364 days or 360 days out of the year? Figure there's 3 other days. Somebody's going to do them on the 3rd. Somebody's going to do them on the 6th, whatever. What do they do the other 345 days of their life? How do you have that level of expertise And you get to use it 2 or 3 times a year. I was fascinated by this. I was thinking about it all night. I'm like, what do these people do, like, starting tomorrow? One day you're on top of the stratosphere blowing off fireworks. The next day, what do you go back to being a school teacher? You go back to working at Home Depot? And what do you do? I mean, I get the manufacturing of the fireworks probably takes all year, and there's factories and whatever, but the people to set them up and detonate them and wire everything, it's one time. Nobody ever thinks about that. Those are the kind of things I think about. I'm like, all these people lighting these off, where do they go tomorrow? Anyway, we're thankful we have them because they were put to a lot of work this past weekend, and hope you guys enjoyed whatever you got to do. All right, so maybe you went to some concerts, maybe you saw some shows, maybe there's some stuff you want to call in about as far as that's concerned. It's all good. Our phone number is 844-686-5863. Also, as we get into the week here, we have 2 shows today, being that it's Monday. So I will do the Hair Nation show, as usual, Mondays only, live 5 to 8 Eastern, over on 39 with music, talk, requests, and usually an interview from this show thrown in there at the end. Also, we should tell you that today, because this kind of came in late, and I don't think we got to tell you when we finished up live shows last week on Wednesday, that we have a guest today. And it's a great guest. It is Amy Lee, the lead singer of the band Evanescence. Amy is going to be joining us for a few at 4 o'clock Eastern Time live. I believe she will be in our SiriusXM New York City studios. Is she in New York, Joel? Do we know? In LA? I'm not sure where she's doing.
I'm not sure where she's doing it from. I know she's coming to us on Zoom, so she could be anywhere. I know she has another hit after us, but again, since it's on Zoom, she could be anywhere. And
oh yeah, she might not even be in our building then. I'm not sure. For some reason, I thought that she was maybe in New York. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, the last time it's been a little while since we had Amy on the show. And I have not seen her in a little bit. I remember the last time I saw her and we hung out a little bit was at Rocklahoma, which of course I host every year, and it's coming up again Labor Day weekend. But she's done Rocklahoma a number of times with Evanescence. And I had a chance to hang out with her a little bit last time we were there, and she went with me over to one of the other stages at Rocklahoma, and we watched Quiet Riot together. I remember she was like super into seeing Quiet Riot, and we had a fun time hanging out there. And then I remember afterwards, after Evanescence played, we talked for a bit, and I met her dad, who turned out her dad was a radio guy. He was a radio DJ. And he had a history in radio, so we kind of bonded and talked about that, and that was fun as well. Real nice woman, and she'll be joining us along with the bass player in Evanescence, Emma, who will be coming on live with us again. They're currently on tour, doing tremendous business. They have a new album out called Sanctuary, so we look forward to welcoming her for a few as our first guest of the week here today to kick things off on a Monday. Also, some other stuff to tell you about as far as what the week looks like. Tuesday, we will have Billy Sheehan on the show. If you were not listening last week, I did attempt to get all of the members of the David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile band on the show at the same time. I knew Roth wasn't going to happen, but I was trying to get Vi, Greg Bissonette, Billy Sheehan. Well, as I mentioned last week, if you weren't listening, unfortunately, Steve Vai got back to me. He is playing and will be on stage in Europe at the time we do this show, so he could not do it, but he appreciated the invite and said he loved the idea. And I did hear from Greg Bissonette, who also would have loved to have done it, but he will be in rehearsals with Ringo Starr who he currently plays with and has for a very long time. He also said he would have loved to have done it, but he had a conflict as well. Billy Sheehan was available, so I wasn't able to get the full band, which Angelo and Jersey had suggested, and I would have loved to have done. But we will certainly talk to Billy and get some thoughts from him on what is the 40th anniversary of the release of David Lee Roth's first full-length solo album, Eat 'Em and Smile, tomorrow. So we'll celebrate that album tomorrow with one of the members of the band who was a big part of it joining us live, in Billy Sheehan. We'll discuss that. Wednesday, former Megadeth bassist David Ellefson. Ellefson's always got a lot going on. He'll be checking in with us on Wednesday. Also, something cool for you on Thursday. You guys know I love the band Fuel. And their founding member and guitarist and songwriter Carl Bell lives here in Vegas. And Carl is going to be joining us, not in person. He's going to call in on Thursday. But here's the really cool part about it. We are going to world premiere on Thursday to end the show the first new Fuel song in a really long time. I believe, by my estimations, it's probably 4 or 5 years. I don't know that for a fact, but it's been a while. And the song is called Want It. It's really good. If you've seen the band live lately, they do play it live. There's finally a long-awaited new Fuel album coming, and the first song from it is going to be released on Friday. We are going to have it before anyone else and give you the world premiere to close the show on Thursday. So we'll spend a few minutes hearing from Carl about it, setting it up, and then we'll end the show by playing it in its entirety. It's only about 3.5 minutes long, but real good song. Love the band. We spent a lot of time together on the Summer of '99 cruise, but I've known the band for a long time. I've known the various members who have been in and out of it over the years. But, Carl's a character, and he's a real talented guy, and I'm looking forward to welcoming him to the show, at least for a few minutes. And I'm sure we'll probably do more on the record and all that once it gets a little closer to the actual full album coming out, which we'll find out more about again when Carl joins us on Thursday. So a pretty busy week already lined up. Something going on here every day. Amy Lee of Evanescence today with her bass player Emma. Tomorrow, Billy Sheehan celebrating 40 years of Eat 'Em and Smile. Wednesday, David Ellefson. And Thursday, as I just mentioned, a world premiere of a brand new song from Fuel. Obviously, a lot of time around all those interviews. Every day around all that stuff, we welcome your phone calls, and we get some free-for-all time in there as well. All right, so as far as news, just a bunch of random stuff to get caught up on from the last few days. Let's see. Last night, I got a chance I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, had a chance to watch an interview from, I think, about a year ago with Bob Ezrin, the legendary producer, of course. It was done for Canadian TV. But it was interesting. Bob had some interesting things to say about making Destroyer, some interesting things to say about making Pink Floyd's The Wall. And just a heads up on that, if you've not seen it, it's definitely something worth checking out. Bob Ezrin, one of the truly legendary producers we still have working in this business and still active as ever. He is now in his mid-70s. We had him on this show on a producer spotlight. I'd love to rerun that at some point. I went to Toronto and got that. Bob is now living full-time in Toronto, but also Bob is still actively working with Alice Cooper, and also is the guy that really is the driver behind this wave of recent Deep Purple albums that we've been getting. Deep Purple loved working with Ezrin so much, even at this super late part in their history, that he is really the big driver behind Deep Purple continuing to make studio records, including a brand new one that came out this past Friday called Splat. We're going to have somebody from Purple on with us soon. we'll have somebody on soon. So thought that was interesting. Also, a few people mentioned to me and asked me if I had watched or listened to Tommy Lee's appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. Tommy was indeed on there. It posted last week, I think. Tommy Lee doesn't do a lot of that kind of stuff, at least that I'm aware of. But this, I did watch about 45 minutes of it. And it's interesting because I'm a fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. The guy seems to be able to talk to anybody about anything. It's amazing. And I love when he goes into areas of talking about, aliens and science and AI and pharmaceuticals. I love all that stuff. You can tell he's not a huge music guy, but kind of knows the broad strokes of some of the music stuff. And, I picked that up on some of the stuff with Tommy because, some of the stuff I was kind of like talking to the TV. I'm like, no, I wanted to jump in if I could, But the one thing, so there was some, and I only watched the first 40 minutes. So it's 2.5 hours long. The Rogan interviews are always close to 3 hours. And they don't always center on what the person he's talking to is known for, which is also interesting. But there was one thing that I did hear them say in the first 40 minutes of the interview, which I completely agreed with. And then there was a statement made that surprisingly was agreed on by Tommy Lee that I think is completely wrong. The thing I agreed on was what I've been saying for years now. One of the biggest problems we have in this industry of music is oversaturation. I always use the term, there's no gatekeepers, that anybody can put anything out. And they use not the exact same term, but the same exact sentiment. Even Rogan was saying, how could anybody find anything today? You don't use, as I've said a billion times, if you're a regular listener on this show, used to be you needed a record label. You couldn't put music out without it. You don't need any of that. Anybody can put anything on the internet. Now there's this giant pool of 300 times the amount of content. And by the way, in the Ezrin interview, the reason I'm bringing both these interviews up is because there was a parallel. In the Ezrin interview, he said the same exact thing about a huge problem being the oversaturation and glut of stuff. And Ezrin, even in his interview, went as far as to use the exact terminology I always say, and I'm not saying Bob did this because he heard me say it. I'm just saying it was funny because he said the same exact thing I say. The good news is anybody can make and release music. The bad news is anybody can make and release music. And he said the exact same thing in this interview. But, Bob brought up an interesting thing, which, is another part of all that, where he said, one of the things, too, where you had all these sort of tiers that bands had to hit to release music is they had to put the work in. You couldn't get to a certain level without reaching a certain level as a songwriter. The songs had to be a certain quality. The production had to be a certain quality. So all this nurturing, all of this time that it took to ascend to the point that you were able to release music, all of that is out the window now. Because you don't need it. Well, you need it, but people aren't doing it. They're not that good. The songs aren't that good. They're just pumping stuff out. And that gets lost with all the stuff that is good and makes this giant stew that nobody can pick out the meat in the stew, the good stuff. It was really interesting to hear two different worlds here a Canadian TV interview with a legendary producer, and then the biggest podcast in the world with the drummer in Motley Crue and the biggest podcaster, all talking about this problem and how, it's just this glut of stuff. So that was interesting. The one thing that I disagreed with Rogan, and again, I was surprised Tommy Lee agreed on this, but Joe made some sort of statement like, well, there really is no radio anymore. Whoa. What exactly does that mean? There is no radio anymore. And Tommy Lee's like, yeah, you're right. If I was in that room, I would have loved to say, whoa, guys. What do you mean by that? Now, look, I am aware that if you are Joe Rogan, your platform, because you have the biggest podcast in the world, whether you like him or not, it's just fact. Because you have the biggest podcast in the world, your audience is bigger than most, pretty much probably all radio stations and most TV channels. So so I get that you can kind of get in this bubble when you have a podcast that big and that powerful of thinking there is no other media. But, and this is where I was surprised Tommy Lee agreed, if you're in a band, you damn well know that there is still radio and it is still a force in selling records and getting people to concerts. And I don't say that purely just because I'm a 43-year and counting radio veteran. It's not like, I'm going to wave the flag for my media. No. I'm just saying it because it's true. Now, has radio taken hits? Has radio eroded? Has the art of music radio pretty much been sucked dry and sucked and void of any creativity? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, a lot of it's changed. It's one mother brain for most places controlling all the music. It's a lot of pre-recorded tracks. The DJ's got nothing to do with nothing. Yeah, I'll give you all that. But if you don't think it still carries a ton of weight in moving the needle on awareness for your record, and that there aren't hundreds of thousands of bands who would chop their leg off to just get a mention or 10 seconds of their song played on the radio, on a real radio station, you're dreaming. I mean, I've talked to so many of my friends who are in bands, and they will tell you, terrestrial radio, here on satellite radio, it absolutely makes an impact. So yes, the art of radio, the availability of jobs in radio, the creativity in radio, I do agree, has gone a lot by the wayside. I'm talking about music-based radio. But to say there is no radio, I don't even know what that means. There's still a lot of radio stations. It's still big business, and it still means something. And, I can understand Rogan from his perspective kind of feeling that way, living in that podcast bubble. But, man, you can't say that if you're an artist, because you know damn well that you need radio if you're going to have any shot at getting anywhere with your music. Yes, I'm aware social media. I'm aware TikTok is a big thing. I'm aware YouTube is a huge thing. They're all part of it. But even there, it kind of ties in to what we talked about, how things have gotten so diluted and so oversaturated with the way music comes out. Tying it all in, there's another way of oversaturation. Media, or the way people are exposed to it, has become so fragmented. You get it from Oh, I get it on YouTube. I get it on Twitter. I get it on Instagram. Oh, I get it on TikTok. Oh, I don't get it at all. I have no idea. I don't listen to anything. I listen to Pandora. I listen to Spotify. I listen to Apple Music. I mean, it's all over the map. It astonishes me on a daily basis, too. I've talked about this. How many people just stop their discovery of music at a certain point in their life? It never doesn't amaze me when I go to a concert. Last night, I hosted a show for LA Guns here in Vegas with Count 77. It was a fun time. Both bands killed. And I posted, I think, a little bit on Facebook page last night of the concert, 60 seconds of one of the songs from LA Guns last night. And I'll hear from people, oh, wow, LA Guns is still around. I saw them in 1988. And like even Andrew Wilkow, who does a show here on Sirius XM, he texted me something like that today. And I love Wilkow. I'm just saying, I'm not even talking about his text, but other people, oh, wow, LA Guns. Yeah, whatever happened to them? Nothing. They've been going since 1985. Never stopped. Put out a record every year, every 2 years. Yeah, they've had a lot of members, but they never stopped. Matter of fact, for a while, there was 2 of them. These people like this epiphany, like, oh, wow, I not heard of them since 88. Well, where have you been? Not where they've been. They've been touring and releasing a record every year. Where have you been that you proclaim to be such a big fan, but you don't know what's happened the last 40 years? That never ceases to amaze me. And that also is a part of the problem with some aspects of the music industry. People just check out. I cannot pinpoint exactly when that happens, but it happens. On to some other things. Apparently, Youngblood admitted on social media that he had a bit of a breakdown because of the large amount of haters that he has out there who have all taken shots at him, whether it's based on jealousy, whether it's based on just people not liking the guy for whatever reason, whatever it may be. If you recall, when we had Youngblood on this show, and you can see it on the YouTube channel, you can hear it on the app if you didn't hear it. More than one time in my conversation with him, he referenced the haters. And he did it after the second or third time he did it. I dug in a little bit on that and said to him, well, what exactly do you mean by that? Are you referencing people like Justin Hawkins of The Darkness, who has taken shots, and some other people? And he said, yeah, he goes, the problem with these people are just jealous because it's a party they're not invited to or whatever. He gave a good answer. Well, apparently, this is all starting to get on young Dom, because he had he just did a huge event called, I think it's called Bloodstock, which is his own like festival somewhere in England. And coming off of this huge triumphant thing, and he posted this photo on social media going there on his own plane, which of course obviously triggered jealousy from some, and people took shots at him for that. He had a whole emotional breakdown about it and took to social media to tell everybody how he was feeling. And he even said he wasn't sure about going to social media with it because he thought then it would be perceived as, looking for sympathy or what have you. And all of that. So, look, I am not a hater on this guy. I have seen him twice. I believe he is our best hope right now for a young artist bringing rock back into the forefront. I think his next record is extremely crucial in terms of what it sounds like and the direction and the approach. But I think he is extremely promising. And we have not seen or heard anyone like this in a while. But I also, as I said in the interview with him, I hope he has good people around him and he does not implode. So look, if he feels it is to his benefit to express his opinions and his feelings through social media, whatever, fine, it's your prerogative. But my gosh, my recommendation to Mr. Youngblood, should I have a chance to talk to him again, would be to get your head out of the comments. Get your head out of reviews. Tune it out, block it out. It does nothing positive for you. And that's even the positive comments, because that'll dilute your head too. And look, the vast majority of people who make things up or have hate platforms or websites or pages or whatever, the reality is most of them are your biggest fans. Most of them are obsessed with you. And most of them are extremely jealous of you. Anybody that reaches a certain level of notoriety, known as the guy in their respective world, is always going to have people that want to knock you down a peg. It's jealousy. It's insecurity. They'll find something to nitpick. They'll find something to twist out of reality. Trust me, I know it's out there for me. I don't engage in it. I know it exists. I don't engage in it. I don't see it. I don't care. I care, but I would never engage in it. Me personally, especially since the days when I was on TV every day, my God, if you go down those roads, it'll mess you up beyond belief. Let people say, Dom, anything they want. Tune it out, ignore it, and go about your business and keep kicking ass and playing to sold-out arenas in England and Europe. Everybody at whatever level they exist at, that is the biggest, even if you work, I don't know, if you work in a store, get your head out of the comments. If you have 20 followers, get your head out of the comments. Every day I'll randomly hear from somebody who I know, like, hey man, I made a post on your thing and they made a comment about it. You might want, no, I'm not dealing with it. It's so silly. It's like high school. It's like, are you serious? You really think I have time to play whack-a-mole on the internet? When I go to bed at night, I take confidence in knowing that I have done this for 43 years and counting. So somebody is listening and somebody cares. And I must be doing a pretty good job at it to have had that career, which I don't take for granted. And that's it. People can do and say whatever they want beyond that. And now, again, with AI and all that stuff, there's so much fake stuff more than ever. So I'm bringing all this up because I really hope our boy Youngblood hangs in there. He has got the world as his oyster right now. This guy is living the dream. Enjoy it. Make a kick-ass next record. And be the guy that brings rock back. And don't let stay out of the comments. Do what I do, man. Post and move on. So I mean, this guy's still young. He's still not even 30 yet, but hopefully he's figuring that out. And whether you like him or not, that's your prerogative. Most people, they don't like something, they just don't listen to it. So don't listen to them. But can you imagine taking the time? I'm going to start a website. Or I'm going to start a fan website. There's nothing going to be hate for the guy. Or I'm going to start a hate website. Like, what? I'm going to start a Facebook page and just talk shit about the guy. Okay, you have fun. This is crazy. One other note on this. I heard an interview on Howard Stern with Taylor Sheridan. If you don't know who Taylor Sheridan is, he is the biggest guy in TV right now. As a writer, he is the guy, the creator of Yellowstone and all those spin-off shows and Lioness and Tulsa King. He is the king of TV. Massively successful. Just got like $1 billion deal. And he was talking on Howard about how there's so much, a segment of the world has so much hate for him because they don't like his shows. He has disdain for Hollywood. They don't like him. He's not politically correct. And Howard was like, how do you deal with that? He goes, I just do my work and know that there's millions and millions of people that it makes happy. And then he goes, I go home and to my giant ranch in Texas. I put my feet up and have a drink. I don't acknowledge it. That's how you got to be wired. Friggin' guy just got $1 billion deal. He's going to worry about some hate website about his show that doesn't like Landman. It's crazy. The world's insane. Hang in there, young blood. We're here for you, buddy. Again, we shouldn't have to feel bad for Youngblood tooling around the world on his own private plane, but you know what I'm saying. I thought this was interesting. Elton John is going to, allegedly, according to The Sun, the British newspaper, Elton John is going to become a hologram. Now, Elton John, of course, is still very much with us. As a matter of fact, I saw the real Elton John perform at a private event here in Vegas about a month ago at Allegiant Stadium for a charity event for the Raiders. Still sounded great. But he is going to be the subject, according to The Sun, of a hologram show, which will take place in the newly built, as we speak, being built Hard Rock here on the Vegas Strip, which is scheduled to open next year in 2027. The Guitar Hotel Tower is just about complete. It is going to be 110 during the day all week here in Vegas. I don't know how those people are working up there, but God bless them. Anyway, people were wondering what the entertainment was going to be like in this Hard Rock, this brand new structure going up here at the site of the former Mirage here in Vegas. Well, apparently Elton John is going to be one of the headlining attractions, but in virtual form as a hologram. Apparently there is going to be a venue built right in that building for this hologram. They said you can think of this similar to the ABBA hologram, which has existed in London for a number of years. However, this one will be way more advanced given that technology has advanced greatly since the ABBA hologram was first started. This begs the question, what the heck is going on with the KISS hologram? Avatar, whatever you want to call it. Because they were supposed to build the whole thing in Vegas. The whole deal the last couple of years has been about this thing, and we've not really heard anything real on that at all as to what the status of it is, how fully done it is, where it's going to be. They've also said Vegas, but there's been no talk about a venue here. So it would appear that Elton is going to be kissed to the punch, at least with a hologram show here in Vegas. Black Sabbath are going to have their first official book released. There has been a ton of Sabbath books over the years, none officially released and approved by the band themselves. This one will be. It's called The Masters of Reality, Why Black Sabbath Matters, featuring photos by legendary photographer Ross Halfin. It's expected to come out in October, and it will run right up to the photos of Sabbath at Back to the Beginning, which, by the way, the year anniversary of Back to the Beginning was yesterday. Speaking of Youngblood, he being the breakout artist with his version of Changes a year ago, amazing what's happened with that guy in the year since. And here we are a year later, and he's talking about having a breakdown online because of the haters. I mean, oh, God, dude, tune it out. Enjoy your private plane and everything that comes with it, man. You were living the dream. Can you imagine letting people win by even disrupting your day for half a second with nonsense? Whew. So anyway, the Sabbath book again coming out in October. This is the first officially sanctioned book by the actual surviving members of Black Sabbath. I mentioned Greg Bissonette. We couldn't get him on because he was rehearsing with Ringo. Ringo Starr announced concert dates today. Another run, September 24th through October 7th. Remember when I was telling you guys about the ship that Muse wanted to build and wants to build for their next tour? And I was telling you guys the story last week about how I saw, when I was a kid, the cover of a Parliament album with the spaceship on it, and I thought that because they looked so wild, it was going to be like a wild hard rock band, only to find out that they were more of a funk R&B thing. So I mentioned the Parliament mothership in contrast to Muse building a ship for their own concerts. Well, I had no idea about this, but in New Orleans the other day, George Clinton, who of course comes from the funk R&B band Parliament, was doing a concert and revealed a new mothership. So it's become all the rage that artists are putting spaceships on their stages again. Pretty funny. ELO, Parliament, Muse. You know, we hear talk that they're about to disclose that the aliens are among us. Maybe these are ships that these people are getting ready to either lend to the aliens or get away from this world themselves. Thought that was funny. Like, I'm looking through the thing like, George Clinton and Parliament unveil a new mothership. I'm like, wait a minute. I literally just talked about this. But I talked about it from this lens of 1976. Of course, over the weekend, you had the big America 250 concerts as well. Many of them were rained out, including Sammy Hagar's performance. He was set to take part in that. Apparently some real bad storms and stuff in the Northeast and rained out a lot of the festivities in D.C. Mick Jagger did an interview with the NME, major British publication. He said that there are not going to be Rolling Stones concerts this year in support of their new album, which comes out on Friday, but he is hopeful that the band can return to playing some shows. He said the reason they're not doing them this year is because Keith wasn't up for it. They'll see how he's feeling next year. Mick Jagger kind of ruled out the idea of a residency. As I said, the Stones would be probably the number one thing they could possibly do at the Sphere in Vegas. They could play in there for a year. It would be so cool. But it seemed like he was not interested in that. Jagger brought up an interesting perspective on residencies. He said the problem with it that he sees is the fact that it puts a lot of extra expense on the artist's fan base, because you're putting it on them to do the travel and the accommodations from wherever in the world they're coming to from that city that you set up in. And he isn't wrong on that. But the reality is we see people routinely willing to pay exorbitant amounts for concert tickets. If you can do a fairly reasonable concert ticket, and again, the reason why all these residencies happen in Vegas is because it's a city people want to come to anyway for other reasons. It's one of the top vacation destinations. So, if people can work that into their vacation here, that's why they happen here. So I still think there's a chance maybe the Stones would consider doing that, but he didn't rule out doing residencies in certain cities. He didn't rule out doing some concerts next year. He also mentioned he's already writing songs for another Stones record when the new one has not even come out yet. Amazing. The other note I have for you from the weekend is Motley Crue did their first concerts since their last Vegas residency. A lot of attention and eyes on Motley, given all that's gone on in that band. They played a show in Winnipeg. Again, the social media world will have their way with this, pro or con. But Motley Crue's, the big takeaway out of the performance was the inclusion of some songs they had not played live in a while, including Red Hot, Louder Than Hell, Too Young to Fall in Love, Take Me to the Top, and all of Smokin' in the Boys' Room. A total of 16 songs were performed in this Canadian Motley Crue headlining set. Of course, Motley getting ready to start a U.S. run with Tesla and Extreme. That will begin on July 17th, so getting very, very close to happening. And one other quick note here, the band Asia, which is down to just one original member, keyboardist Jeff Downs. There's been a lot of different versions of this band. I think there was a version even with no original members at one point. This one has Jeff Downs, the sole original member, in it. They announced a new album called Indigo. It's not out till November 6th, but already today, there's a track from it out called The Traveler. One point, Bumblefoot was in Asia singing. We had him on talking about that. It was crazy. Joel, anything you want to jump in on?
So we had mentioned a month or so ago, Danny Elfman was going to dip his feet into rock, and he's got a new album coming out. The date is not announced yet, but he did announce tour dates today. And what's interesting about this is he's taking basically, a rock band out with him. He's taking out guitarist from the band Death Clock, Neely Broche, as well as Robin Fink and Josh Freese on drums, and Matt McJunkins on bass from A Perfect Circle and Eagles of Death Metal. So I think we're really going to see something rock coming from this upcoming album. We don't know much about it, but it is in the works. The tour kicks off in September and wraps up in October. Journey's Jonathan Cain also released a new single for America 250 this weekend. It's called The Winds of Freedom, and that is what I have for you.
Danny Elfman is the Nightmare Before Christmas guy, right?
Yeah, he's the composer. He does all the horror stuff. He dabbles in a lot of different things.
Yeah, there are people, I don't really know that world all that much, but there are people I know in the rock world and in the rock business that love that stuff, and they love what he does. And I know he does a performance of it at the Hollywood Bowl every year. That's a big deal as well. But there's a contingency of people that are really, really into that thing. So it does not surprise me that there is a connection to some rock people if he's going to go on tour, because the rock community seems to love that stuff that he does. All right, Joel, thank you for that. Of course, got to mention this too. I mean, even I got caught up in this. I'm not a big soccer guy, but this World Cup stuff is crazy. And because I travel so much, every city I go in, you see all these people from these other countries coming in for their teams or whatever. And today there is a huge game for the U.S. team. So best of luck to them. I'm even probably going to watch that. I've been watching, actually, maybe because I'm a Mets fan and they're so awful and my baseball season didn't happen this year. I've been putting on these World Cup games anytime they're on and watching them. So I will be all in at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight for the U.S. I didn't know who they're playing. You know who they're playing, Joel? Is it Bulgaria?
Belgium.
Belgium. Let's start with a B. So, yeah, and apparently the one guy that was going to be not allowed to play is now going to be allowed to play. So there's some controversy there. You been following this, Joel? You into it?
Yeah, I've been following, but I actually didn't see the play live as it happened that everyone's talking about. But so I also don't watch soccer like that, enough to be like, oh, I could tell because of all the soccer I watched that this was a good call or a bad call. Like, I get into it for World Cup, but that's about it.
Yeah, I admit I know nothing about soccer. I mean, I know with kids playing it in America, it's a big deal, but I know, and I know it is the biggest sport worldwide without question. I get all that, but I don't know all the rules and everything. And I'm trying to, I was talking to my friend Brian Slagle the other day, Brian is an insane hockey fan. Like, he's the biggest hockey fan I know. And I said to him, I'm kind of looking at it as like hockey, but instead of ice and puck, them kicking a ball. I'm like, is there offsides? Is there this? And he was trying to take me through some of it. He's like, yeah, there is offsides. There's this, there's that. And I don't know if this is always the way it is, but the games are super low scoring. All of them seem to be like 1-0. Like, it's game over, I don't know if that's just World Cup or always with the game. So anyway, it's, here we are coming off the 250th birthday of our country, and our U.S. team with a huge, huge game here to try to create a miracle scenario here and keep advancing. And who knows what'll happen. It's in the elimination rounds tonight, so we'll see. All right. Thank you for all that, Joel. And thank you guys. It's great to be back with you. And again, hanging for another week of Rock Talk here on Trunk Nation. Let's take a break. When we come back, we should have Amy Lee of Evanescence and her bass player in the band, Emma, joining us as well. We'll talk a little bit with them. And then, time permitting, at the end of the interview, maybe we'll have some time for some of your phone calls. Just busy Monday getting back into it here, coming off the long weekend, so a lot to get caught up on. And we got a great guest also to kick off the week. We'll talk to Amy next on Trunk Nation.
On all things rock.
From the feuds and the reunions, lawsuits and payoffs,
We're talking about it.
Trunk Nation.
With Eddie Trunk.
All right, we're back, and we are talking rock as we do every day here on Trunk Nation. Faction Talk, Sirius XM Channel 103, or the Sirius XM app. It's good to have you guys on board as we're kicking off another week here, coming off the long holiday weekend. Hope it was good for you, whatever you did for the 4th. And we are kicking off the week in grand style, welcoming two great guests from the band Evanescence joining us. We have bassist Emma Anzai. Emma, nice to see you and talk to you. We're doing this on Zoom, so hello.
Hello.
And Amy Lee. Amy, good to see you.
What's up, Eddie? Thanks for having us.
I was thinking about this. The last time we saw each other, do you remember what we were doing?
Were we backstage at a show?
We were at Rocklahoma watching Quiet Riot.
Yes, I remember. It was very dusty.
Very dusty, and you were full on into Come On, Feel the Noise and Bang Your Head Mental Health.
Yeah, totally.
We had a good time over there. And the other thing I remembered about that show, Amy, was after you guys played, we talked for a little bit and you introduced me to your dad, who was with you, who was a radio guy. And we had a whole radio business conversation.
That's right. He was in radio for 30 years, a DJ and program director.
Yeah. Is he out of it now? He doesn't do it anymore?
Yeah, he stopped doing that a while back. It was one of those things. Younger kids, less money. Screw this.
Yeah.
But my dad, that was like half of what he did. The other half was commercials. You've heard his voice before doing like voiceovers for Sunset or Awning and things like that. Like he's a voice guy, voice talent. So he kept doing that for a while. And then yeah, he's just Grandpa Lee. He's actually going to come out on tour for the first time. Like he's come to a one-off like that, but we were talking like last year, I think, and he was like, I've never ridden the bus. And I was like, that can't be true. After all these years, surely my rock and roll dad, like you've ridden the bus. He was like, no, I never have. And I was like, that's a crime. Like we have to make it happen. And now we're having like our coolest, biggest tour ever with the most trucks and the pyro and all the fun stuff. I'm like, Dad, this is the time. Like you gotta come on tour for a little bit. We're even swinging through Little Rock. You're coming with, like, just for a few days. So we were just on the phone talking about how to make that happen.
I'm curious, how did that having your dad be in radio? So, I have two kids myself, but now they're older, 22 and 19, and they're into music, but not the same music I'm into or anything like that. But for you, growing up with a father in radio, did it influence you at all and the music you like? Did he bring things home to you? Were you exposed to it as a kid that really played into you wanting to do this?
Yeah, for sure. Like there was always like this access to endless music. And I feel like nowadays that's not so unusual. We have that with streaming. But when I was younger, it wasn't like that. It was like whatever, albums your parents had or that you saved up money to go get, that was what you had, or listening to the radio. So I could always go with my dad either to his radio work. Like he would bring home, those samples. They'd send like a sample CD of whatever it was that they're promoting that's coming out soon. It wasn't even out yet. And I'd get those. I remember either with that, or he also worked at like a broadcasting school. Like he would teach broadcasting too. And we could go up there and there was just this huge collection of tapes and records and a big system. So if I was there hanging out with Dad while he would work, which I love to do, I could just listen to music. And I got really into like just cool old classic stuff like Four Tops, Temptations, Jackson 5, and then into like Al Green and the Beatles, of course, huge. I'm trying to think, just an endless world of music. I remember my first CD that I ever had was Get a Grip. Like when it changed over from
Aerosmith.
I was big into tapes for a long time. Yeah, I got Aerosmith's Get a Grip because my dad got it early at the radio station. It was like super cool. I felt like the coolest kid.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in radio 43 years, and I think people forget that, and that the coolness factor of that, the way it used to be, because now everybody's just like, oh, you just something new came out, I'll click on YouTube or I'll click on my phone. But it was like this thing to get it physically, and was it going to show up in the mail? What day were you going to get it early? And get the promo
mystique.
version.
Like, who are these people? I heard this song on the radio. I wonder what the rest of their music sounds like, and you'd have to go discover it.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, I would imagine that would have had a cool impact on you as a kid. Emma, you grew up where? In Australia? Am I correct on that?
Most of the time, yeah. I also lived in Japan for a little bit as well, but mainly it was Australia, yeah.
And you also played in the band Sick Puppies. Do you still do that?
Yes, I still do that. We came over here, met in high school, and then came over to the US many years ago, and still doing it.
And your tenure in Evanescence, how long have you been part of the band now?
Ooh, now it's like going on 4 years.
Wow.
Yep. I know, time's flown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, it feels like you've been here forever.
Yeah.
Amy, how did you end up enlisting Emma to come into Evanescence?
I've been Emma's fan for many years. We met on tour. I think we really met face to face in 2007 when we were touring together. And we just became friends right away. Especially back then, finding another like female musician in the heavy music world was like finding a unicorn. And it was just like, oh, hey, we should hang out.
Totally.
But beyond just gender, like we just like had a lot in common right away. And I don't know, hit it off. And more than that, even like just was so impressed, like everybody else that's seen Emma play, by just her whole thing, her amazing ability as a bassist and her style and her stage presence. So cool. I always wanted to be in a band with Emma. I've been kind of like, we've been putting around in the background for years. Like if there's ever some kind of side project like that we could do, like we should do that. And then the time was finally right. So. got the best of both.
Emma, who kind of shaped you as a player and a performer? You know, Amy just said these wonderful things about you and what appealed to her about you and your performance. Where did that come from in your upbringing?
Well, that's so lovely. I think it was real simple stuff. Like I feel like when you're the ages of like 15, 16, 17, earlier, maybe 14, like I feel like your brain is a sponge and you're absorbing things at a rate that's far greater than, like, musically, and experiences and everything like that, far greater than, I guess, when you're a little older. And I was really into Silverchair, Green Day, Chili Peppers, and I think those three bass players really, like, I absorbed, like, say for example, Silverchair, the bass player Chris, like, he's not necessarily the most, like, it's not like Victor Wooten or Flea or anything like that, but he had this like energy around him when he played live. It was a very simple thing. He just locked in with the kick, but it was something about his energy that really drew me to that band. And then more on the technical side, probably just Mike from Green Day, and then obviously Flea from Chili Peppers. Just like being able to use the bass as like a melodic instrument as well as percussive. I think I really liked the two.
Yeah, I've not heard the name Silverchair in a while, but I know they're Australian. And I know here in the U.S., they had one big song at the time. I think it was called Tomorrow, if I recall.
Yes.
It was a really big song. But that was kind of it for them here in the U.S. Are they still an active band like in Australia?
Unfortunately, no. I think Daniel Johns, the singer, he's doing stuff, but I think they kind of like stopped after like one of the albums like 10 years ago or so. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, their second album is cool. They got way more into like strings and stuff. It's more experimental in a beautiful way.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to check that out. Well, let's talk about the new Evanescence album, which is out now. Sanctuary, doing unbelievably well. You're dominating the rock radio charts. It was funny. I was just having a conversation earlier before you guys got on the air because I had heard an interview where somebody said, well, there really is no rock radio anymore. I never quite understood that statement because I'm like not sure what planet people are living on that they don't think rock radio is still out there. It certainly still exists, and it's certainly still a powerful thing. I mean, I think media's gotten fragmented, and you have people now that, you've got YouTube, you've got TikTok, you've got all these other outlets, but I think, and I'm not just saying this as a radio guy my whole life, but I do still think that radio has some definite influence on artist success. And Amy, you're definitely a great example of that, I think.
Thank you. It's become different to balance like what you're thinking towards when you're thinking about singles and how to push things and everything else, because it used to really just be radio. And now I think we've kind of started to have to really, not have to, get to broaden the whole idea of like, well, it's not just about a radio hit. Like that is an incredible asset. And I think still kind of the hardest thing to get, to get everybody on board with one thing. But streaming has changed things so much. Like you're saying, fragmented. It's like we all sort of have our own stream, our own channel of things that are coming towards us based on what we've listened to before, what we clicked on, what we looked on a minute longer. So what may seem like the biggest thing in the world to you, maybe something that the person next to you has never heard of before, which is cool, in a way, but there is an element to it where I really love the things in music and in the world, like that bring us together, like coming together, like when people all come to a concert and we're all experiencing one thing live at the same time, feeling that feeling. It's just a different thing to, like when you're alone in your room consuming music by yourself, that's great too. But there's something really special about that togetherness, and radio is sort of that last place, that is really can be beyond just the straight up mainstream. Rock radio does still exist, especially in, satellite radio and things where we can reach a much broader group, rather than just the people in your town. I think that's the radio that people need to be thinking towards, like this. Here you are, right in the right place. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've had tremendous success with this record. As a matter of fact, Who Will You Follow, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much like number one right now at rock radio, right?
It has been. I last week it was. I think so. It's been doing really, really well. We're so happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you've been a part of three number one rock songs. Is that
You're right.
correct?
Yeah. Are you thinking End of You also?
Yeah,
Because Afterlife, End of
right.
You, and then Who We Follow. Yeah. In the
Amazing.
last year. Yeah. It's been really good. It's been
Congratulations.
really
I
cool.
mean,
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
no, finish what you were going to say.
It's just been really cool to see people's reactions after we've been working on this and obsessing over it. This has just been an all-consuming project. We've obviously been doing other things. We were on tour a bunch last year and doing stuff for movies. We did things for the Ballerina soundtrack and the Devil May Cry series, and then we got to tour with Metallica. So much going on that like we didn't expect. But what was going on in the background was just absolutely consuming my mind most of the time. And so much, energy and thought and heart and soul and excitement poured into this music up until the last minute. And the fact that it's only been out for, has it even been a month? Has it been just a month, like right now? Something like that. Like just a month. Is that month went by really, I feel like it's been out for longer, I guess, because we've been playing it, on stage every night. But the response has been just really rewarding after all the running and holding your breath and going as fast as you can. And like, we're still going hard, but it's just out of love and excitement. And I don't know, it just feels like a really nice victory moment right now.
Emma, how's it felt for you out there, especially with this new record out, playing some of this material live?
I mean, just like what you were saying, Amy, it's a pretty amazing feeling. It is more just like you said. I think the best place to sort of absorb that is at a show where people are there actively, sort of, experiencing it and singing it, and it's a kind of a cathartic moment. I always refer to that with shows because it really is like this group of energy and we're all experiencing it together. And sure, like we're on stage and we have a slightly different experience, but then we're feeding off of the people sort of listening to and experiencing it together. It's this back and forth, and it's been all consuming, totally, like you said, Amy, and it's been really amazing. Yeah.
Amy, tell me about getting to this point that this record is out, because it's been, if my calculations are right, my math is not always great, but it's been about 5 years since the last record, right? It's a pretty long time to get a record. It's not exactly Chinese democracy level, but it's, it's 5 years.
I was going to say, not if you're in Evanescence. This is quick. That was quite a turnaround. No, I feel like, my process is very much like, just like reach out and receive and start playing until it sounds good. And then, you slowly begin to realize what you're creating and get on the train and ride the wave. And you just can't let time really be a factor. It was in this one only at the very end because we had the tour booked. And the whole point of the tour was like, we're going out there to tour this new album. And I'm not going on tour until we have this done. So like, the pressure of time on this one just in the last, couple of months before the finish line were like intense, more than normal. But in general, like I like to let us do that. I think it's important. Our first album was Fallen. So there's kind of a standard. Like I've never really been like, all right, cool, let's just shoot something out next year and see how, like, I can't do that. And I wouldn't say it's all because of that, but there's always been that standard for me. Every time we make an album, it's got to be that good or better. I want to do something incredible. I want to make the best thing we've ever made. Otherwise, why? What are we rushing for? Like, it needs to have a point, and the passion. So that's definitely there.
So did you work with different people making this record over the course of time? Did you kind of go into studios, come out, do some of it, leave, and come back to it? Or did you was it the writing process that you kind of were just stuck on? I mean, tell me about the creative aspect of it.
Well, we started writing individually and together while we were on the road. Like I like to sort of just plan little field trips when they're convenient. Like, okay, we've got a show on a Thursday and the next show isn't till Tuesday or something. I don't know why it would be those days, but there's a few days in between. Like instead of everybody trying to like either waste time or go home or find some way to fill the time, like let's just stay out here, rent an Airbnb, move the chairs in the middle of the room and like create a little session situation where we can just jam with each other. And it's nice because like on tour, you're already in sync. You're already in that, I'm gonna fail to find the right word, but in that synchronicity, there you go, where we're all just in tune with each other as players, and we can take some of that energy and put it into the writing room and just even come up with just like a scrap of something. And I would say that every single one that we did in the last few years yielded something that ended up on the record, a piece of something. So we did some of that, and then I think we had three songs that we were like, these are for sure we want to do. And I showed Nick our demos a while back, a couple years ago. And he was like, sweet, let's do this one, and this one. And I was like, perfect, I love that. And we started chipping away at the recording at Nick's in Nashville, where I live. So it's easy for me. And I would go over there lots of times. Be like, can we have a vocal day? I have an idea. Like, I want to try some stuff. So working with Nick was sort of like this slow burn process because we kept those three songs going for a long time. We like kept adding one more thing. Wait a minute, I got a better idea. I wrote a new chorus. Like the election happened. I have a whole new thing to say. And then we had kind of at the same time as that was going, Afterlife was happening. Because the Devil May Cry thing came at us, and that was beautiful and natural, and that we did with Nick as well. And Zach Cervini mixed it. And at the same time, I had like just gotten off the phone with Zach, and he was like, "Hey, I'm your fan," and I was like, "I'm your fan." He's like, "Let's just like go in the studio and see what happens." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds crazy. Why not?" He's like, "I'm gonna bring my friend Jordan Fish from like Bring Me the Horizon." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect. I know him and we want to write together." Like we're literally just having that conversation. I'm gonna bring Troy. So the four of us like got in a room, and this is different for me. Got in a room like I guess it was 2025, and just 5 days, 5 songs. Like it was like immediate lightning between us. Like when you just feel that energy spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning around and just like hitting each person and like a pinball machine. It was just this really fast magic that was really exciting and really inspiring and different. Like Zach is a genius. Jordan is an incredible writer. So we were just sitting there on the back couch, like spitting ideas like constantly. Anyway, we took that energy from that core, like right there. And I was like, okay, this is like the new core, and started bringing the band into those tracks and other tracks with us. So it just sort of this like storied thing with chapters. Then Forever Without You was like the second to last one. I called Nick back up and I was like, hey, I want to do this one, just you and me, somewhere in Nashville. And he's like, okay, cool. And we used another random studio. So yeah, long story, but I feel like allowing whatever your heart wants in the moment to happen. And obviously this is a luxury because the typical way it works, like when you go in to make your first record, and the way that we did the first time too, and Emma, I know you too, like this is, you have to have all the songs, you prove to the label, these are the songs, and they whittle that down and go, okay, you're allowed to do this many, these are the ones we believe in. And you've got the demos like pretty much good to go. Like, so you're going to minimize the actual amount of time you have to spend in a recording studio spending the label's money. And then you go in there and it's like, quick, okay, drums first, all the drums, every song, don't think about anything else. Great. All the bass, all the or whatever order. And that's it. And you just layer by layer do it. And that is efficient, but there just isn't as much creative flow in the freedom of like where your heart is, when you first write a song and you're so obsessed with it and you really want to just start laying down like the ideas for real. Like demoing is awesome, and we obviously do a lot of that, but to be able to throw down ideas in real time as you just came up with it. Some of the vocals on Sanctuary, we were just all in the room together, and I was like, oh, I got a great idea, and Zach would be like, do it now. And I would just sit there in the room and record it on that SM7 that Emma and I both used a lot. But that wasn't the main mic. That was just like the extra mic. And then some of those, it's like, I can't recreate that later. We have to use that verse that we did when we wrote it, like in that moment. And I think that there's magic to catch there. So I feel really lucky to work with people who are like flexible and creative like that, and also have the time, and the money to spend to spread it out like that and let it happen as it came.
Emma, anything you want to add about all this and this whole process?
I mean, that pretty much says it all. It was all exactly how you said it. It was kind of like chaotic and serendipitous and wonderful. And I just remember when you sent me those songs, Amy, I was like, wow, this is really, really, really cool. And I was so excited. And when we finally sort of came together as a band to lay it down, it was so fast. And the energy was really kind of in the room. And it was really enjoyable for me. I've loved the experience. And yeah, it was great.
Amy, you said something while you were discussing all that, where you said, like, you used to have to bring it to the label and all that. Now, if I'm not wrong here, you guys essentially, Evanescence essentially became an independent band over 10 years ago, right? So do you...
Well, we had a moment. I mean, no, we have labels. We're with Sony. We're with like different labels in different territories. So we're BMG here in the US.
Okay.
And they've been fantastic. But I just signed short-term deals with people that's like, cool, if you're in, we're gonna have creative control. Like we've earned that trust. That's not a fight. It's like you guys make your album, we'll support it. And they've been incredible with that. They can trust me. Like I know how to make it good. Like, and we're only gonna work with like cool people who are gonna make it good. I'm lucky to have that kind of trust, but this is our second time doing a short-term deal. Like it's been going great. So yeah, we're not indie. We have support, but by doing different territories like that, also it's like you get the support of each territory when you're there. Like it's like a home like a local album for them wherever we go pretty much. It's not like, oh, okay, we're taking care of these people on the American label kind of as a favor, and taking a small chunk. It's like everybody's really invested around the world, which has made a huge difference too.
Yeah, and also you have that trust from whatever label you're working with on whatever project because of the track record. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when you've got the track record of what Evanescence is doing, both live and radio and sales and et cetera, I think they're going to pretty much give you a pretty big level of autonomy, way more so than they would give maybe a brand new artist that doesn't have any history or any success yet, where they might want to meddle more, I would think.
Of course, sure. Or at least hear it. We showed the demos, but like not right away. It was kind of late in the game. They're like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, I'm so glad you think so. No going back.
Let's talk a little bit about the tour, because at the time you're doing this, you're both home at the moment. Amy, you were saying this is a little bit of a break you're on, right?
A little bit, yeah. We just had 4th of July weekend off. We start back up on Wednesday in Chicago. So, yeah, this is like our last day at home, just having a little catch our breath. So, that's been really nice to have. Like we had 3 weeks, then this little almost week in the middle, and then 3 more weeks for the US tour. Well,
and how's it been going so far for both of you, starting with you, Emma? How's it been on the road, and how have the shows been? Amy mentioned the production's bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, it was a learning curve with because playing a lot of the songs from the new album on this run, and also the production is all new, and it's all like it's really way more involved than at least I have had experience with the band. And it's exciting because it's like, there's all sorts of things like pyro and stuff that makes a show. So yeah, it's been pretty great.
Lifts, they get to rise into the air.
Yes.
we were in rehearsals, like band rehearsals and production rehearsals, for over a week. Just really, and that was actually, I was exhausted by the first show. We all were. We got to the first show, we're like, oh my God.
Me too.
Like, this is it for real. And I have had like a 2-page set list up there with so many notes of like, you better be over here or your hair might catch fire, or you better be over here or the kabuki is going to fall down on your head, which has only happened 2 times.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
The giant
really
curtain
fun.
came down on you?
Yes. Only once with the spotlight on me, because it was one of those nights where the spotlight guy kind of didn't follow me as well. And that's just kind of hilarious and irritating. And I was right in the middle of being like, I looked up at the, like, whoever was in the spotlight area, and I was like, come on, dude. And so he shines the light on me, but like he was doing the right thing. I was standing in the wrong place, like just fully confident, because I was not, I am in like my head, like I'm singing, like here comes the next song. I know what the words are. Like, So, but if I stand like, it's a very, you know what? We've come up with a new plan where I'm not going to stand in this, but I'm going to come around it. It's supposed to be like I'm standing right in front and the kabuki in the dark drops down right behind me. So then I go out to the piano that's on like this, I'm giving away the whole show. I go out to the piano that's on like a catwalk that goes out farther into the crowd. And it comes out of the floor. It's amazing. But then, new thing. It's the piano song and there's a kabuki there. And then in the last song, the kabuki drops in a really dramatic moment. It's super beautiful, but standing in the wrong place. And then, he did what I was given an eyeball for and turns the spotlight on and immediately the kabuki falls down and slams me in the face. And there's nothing you could do in that moment but laugh and just go, guys, that's on me. It's live, people. We're actually doing the show. This is actually happening live. The other time, at least it happened in the dark. So only the front like 10 people were like concerned. And I was like, I'm good. I'm not going to say anything about it this time. And they're like, okay.
So Amy, would a giant kabuki coming down on you, would that constitute your top Spinal Tap moment, or is there a better one in the history? I want
I'm
from
sure
each
there
of
are
you,
more.
before we have to end here,
There's
from
many.
each of you, I'd like your top Spinal Tap moment so far in your career. Emma, do you want to go first? It could even be with Sick Puppies if you have one.
Entire career. There's so many. I have to think of all.
There's got to be a couple
Okay.
great ones.
Yes, there was one. It's always, it is very Spinal Tap. We joke that there's always one moment per day, a Spinal Tap moment. There was one kind of like mortifying in a way. One where it was with Sick Puppies. Actually, there was a couple actually. One with Evanescence, but a festival, huge crowd. You know how they have the wedges or the speakers out front that you go step on where you're not supposed to. But
Monitors, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like the actual PA, and I went out and stepped on it, and I'm like, oh, this is a little precarious. So I turned around to walk back onto the stage, and my leg went through the hole, but not all of me went through the hole, just my leg. So I was kind of like, I was kind of like stuck and playing, and it was very embarrassing. But you just learn to laugh at these things. And the other one was actually recently where my pants split.
Oh, yeah, but you didn't know.
I didn't
until
know.
the
That's
end.
the thing.
That's the
That's the
worst
thing.
part.
Unbeknownst to me, I was playing pants split, quite a large split, but anyways, had to laugh at that too. Luckily, it wasn't a huge deal. But anyway, what about you, Amy?
Well, actually, I will say the kabuki is pretty funny. I can't think of a better one because when I think of Spinal Tap, I think of big production fails.
Yeah.
And this tour is that. Like any little thing, it's like it's a big deal because you're trying to do something epic, and there's always going to be the risk that goes along with that, because if it doesn't go off perfectly, it looks stupid. Oh yeah, the other one on this tour is I like come out of the floor at one point. Like I get to go down with piano lift and I come out and like the song is starting and it's just not going up, and I'm just sitting there, and we had a new like stage manager or carpenter or whatever, the person that was pushing the button, and I was just head down, superhero pose. And I look at him and I'm just like looking from side to side at both of them. I'm like, guys, I'm about to sing now. Didn't come out of the floor. I guess that's it. I had another one, but it was just going to be laughing at Emma in a cute way because the band saved her.
Did either of you ever get lost going to the stage?
Yeah, that happens like way often.
That happens a lot. Yeah, that can happen at any moment.
That just happened to me. That just happened to me because I host a lot of shows all over the country and the world. And I just hosted a couple months ago a festival in Brazil that was headlined by Guns N' Roses. And I had to walk one of the opening acts to the stage. It was Yngwie Malmsteen, and we were under the bowels of this old soccer stadium in Brazil. And there's pipes real low, and we're ducking, and we're both tall. And wait, no, I think we got to go this way. And he's carrying his Stratton.
I know the venue, and we made that joke when we were there.
Oh my God! These little stairs that are cracked, and you go up. And
you remember where it's like underground, and you're like literally under everything, and there's all the tables and everything at that Sao Paulo place. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So funny. It was Alliance Park.
Totally remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's Spinal Tap every day around here. We got a million of them. Save one.
Well, the most important thing is, you ladies stay safe, because I mean, Amy, you mentioned you did shows with Metallica. Of course, James had that horrible accident decades ago where he stood in the pyro and he got burned. I mean, if you've got a lot of pyro on stage, you really want to know where you're at, right?
We're safe. I'm not scared about that. And we've got people spotting and people calling it in our ears. That part to me, at least to me, like where I'm at, I don't feel scared of that.
What about going up? Any height issues?
Yeah. Will's a little scared of heights, and he's got to go really high.
He does.
Like he definitely had a look on his face. Like he loves it. Please don't get me wrong. It is his absolute dream come true, this tour. But like the drum lifts up, and when we were first doing it in production, he was like, okay. He's like, that's as high as it goes. And he's like, no, it goes like 2 more feet for the other song. And Will just had this look on his face like, okay. He's like, I just got to get used to when it gets up there and it jolts. Because like when it stops, it kind of, so you got to lock your knees or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
I
fun.
didn't know.
It's so much fun.
Oh
it's like
my
getting to be in a
gosh.
theater production. Yeah.
I don't like heights, and I'm glad to know my good friend Will Hunt does not either, man, because that would be harrowing. To just tell him to look back at some of that old Kiss footage from the 70s when those guys were on these rickety plywood platforms going up there with pyro going off. Like 1976, you didn't have the technology or safety you had now. It's crazy when you think about that stuff.
Terrifying. No, we're safe. We're good. We're having fun.
Good. Well, listen, it's great to visit with both of you, and I wish you continued success with the album and the tour. I know that the U.S. dates start again in a few days. I know you got a big one at the Forum in L.A. coming up. You got some incredible shows. And then from what I saw on your website, Evanescence really has a big footprint around the world now at this point, right? You're going all over the world after America.
Yeah, we are. I think next is Malaysia and Japan. And then I forget if there's something before. And then, there's other things I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Oh yeah, and Australia, of course. We got to go back there. So, yeah, there's a whole big world out there. We want to get to as many people as we can. We is one of the most incredible things. One of the best gifts about this is get to travel the world and meet people. And at this point, see familiar faces at those shows all over, far, far away from home. It's beautiful.
And one final thing, when you talk about global touring, it always amazes me when I talk to artists because sometimes they'll tell me, well, actually, our biggest market is, for Evanescence, is there a place in the world where your music is connected that you never thought it would, where you go there and it's like complete mania, like bigger than anywhere else?
Yeah, it's South America in general, Mexico, South America, Central America, but like Brazil. I have to always say Brazil. They're the loudest. Argentina and Chile are amazing too. South America would be a different life to live down there. They're amazing. Their energy's incredible.
Yeah, I think the word is passion. Having just been there, it's
Yes.
passion. I mean, it is crazy, the passion those people have for the music. It's so cool to see that. So, well, listen, again, thank you to both of you for some time today and continued success. And I hope to see you out there on the road somewhere. And again, everybody check the date, see if there's a show coming near you. And the new album is out now. It's called Sanctuary. Thank you so much, Amy, Emma. Have a great day, a great week, and appreciate the time.
Thanks,
Awesome.
you too.
Thank you.
See you soon.
All right,
See ya.
we'll see you guys. There they go.
Thanks.
Emma and Amy from Evanescence here on Trunk Nation. We'll take a break. We'll come right back after this on Sirius XM 103 Faction.
We're back to Trunk Nation. Holy shit, we're actually doing it. And now, your host, the voice of the hard rock and metal community, Eddie Trunk.
I tell people I love them.
Sirius XM's Faction Talk.
All right, welcome back. A busy start to the week here on Trunk Nation on a Monday. Thank you for being here as always. We, of course, will continue Rock Talk tomorrow after we wrap up here in just a few minutes. We'll probably have time to grab a few phone calls here before we end the show today. Again, another show coming up, though, since it is Monday. I do 2 shows back-to-back, as you know, or should know, because that's been the case pretty much since day one of doing this, starting this daily show 10 years ago. But yes, I will be with you once again for 3 extra hours live right when this show ends, starting at 5 Eastern. And that'll be over on Hair Nation channel 39 on your Sirius XM dial. Or, of course, you can listen live or on demand using the app. Bring you music, bring you requests, bring you some phone calls, some discussion, and usually bring you a replay of an interview as well to close that show from our archives. So that's what we have for you coming up on the Double Dip. That is the case most Mondays here. 2 different shows on 2 different channels back to back here on SiriusXM. Back tomorrow for this show, as usual, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Tomorrow we will celebrate 40 years of the release of Eat 'Em and Smile, David Lee Roth's first full-length solo album, and a record that was quite a landmark album with an incredible band with Steve Vai and Greg Bissonette and Billy Sheehan. I tried to assemble the whole band for an interview tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier, Steve and Greg were booked. They were busy. Steve is touring somewhere in the world, and Greg was in rehearsals with Ringo Starr, who he plays with now. But I did manage to get Billy Sheehan to come on and talk about this a bit, and Billy will join us live, and we'll get into some stories and memories about Eat 'Em and Smile at 40 years old. And of course, you can call in if you'd like during that tomorrow as well. We should have a lot more open phones time tomorrow. Certainly on Wednesday as well. We have what are we doing on Wednesday, Joel? We have Ellefson. So that should be fairly brief, and we'll have a lot of open phones there. And then when we get into Thursday, that's also pretty open, with the exception of a world premiere that we'll be bringing you on Thursday to close the show, a brand new song from the band Fuel. I'm a huge Fuel fan pretty much since day one. Seen them live a few times recently, always great. Carl Bell, the band's guitarist, founding member, and songwriter, will join us, and we'll talk a little bit about Fuel and this new song and a coming new album. And for the first time anywhere, we will world premiere the song for you on the radio to close the show in its entirety on Thursday. So a busy week coming right off the 4th of July holiday. Started the show today with a ton of news and just some various kind of thoughts and discussion about a bunch of different things. As always, if you just joined us and you missed it, you know the deal. It's on the app. All you got to do is punch in my name or punch in Trunk Nation. You can hear this show from the beginning and get caught up on anything you may have missed on past shows as well. All right, let's get a few phone calls in here before we have to wrap things up for show number 1 of 2. We have a couple people have been waiting a very long time, so I'm going to try to get them all in if I can before we have to end. We'll start in Tampa, Florida. Here's Ken as our first caller. Hi, Ken.
Hey, Eddie, long-time listener, first-time caller. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
I love all the stuff you've done that you do to keep rock alive.
Thank you so much.
I believe what you say. Rock keeps you young.
I want to believe that. I'm about to be 62 next month, so I'll go with that.
Well, I hit 54 last month, so I'm not too far behind you. I really loved that show you guys that you got back together with Don and Jim there. That Rocks you did on YouTube for a little while. Too bad had the problems with trying to get the consistency with the format to work out for you guys.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. Together. Yeah, we're all in a million different directions, and we did that mainly just to let people know what you were still friends and we still wanted to work. And again, it's very frustrating for the three of us because we all would love to do that show again, and there are ways we could do it, but we don't own it. So without having ownership of it, it's hard to do some of the things we used to do in that. Certainly couldn't use the name without having that ownership. So it's frustrating. So we'd love to do it again. We still hold out hope. Maybe we will. But doing that online thing was just really something to kind of give people, let people know we're still out there and still would love to do it if the opportunity presented itself. And from a technical standpoint, it just wasn't making sense to keep doing. And also with our schedules all being all over the map. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hey, you've been talking a lot about shows. Got to see Alter Bridge about a month or so back. One of my favorite bands these days. I listened to your replays from last year. People's favorite top fives from the U.S. and the favorite top fives, and really made me think about it. And my all-time favorites always been Van Halen and Metallica. But Alter Bridge would be in my top five. Those guys, to see them, they're playing. It's just so great.
Great, and great songs, and a great, really, truly live band. I mean, they're a killer band. Ken, I'm going to move on just because I want to get some other people in, all right? But thank you for the kind words, and glad you called in.
You take care.
All right, see ya. There's Ken in Tampa checking in. Appreciate that. Let's go to Melissa in Texas, who's also been waiting a while. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hello, Eddie. Hey, Mel Mans. You can call me Mel Mans. I've called in before. Worked in radio for many years. Major Rush fan. I was 11 years old, and I saw Rush at the Amarillo Civic Center on 2112. Still have my concert T-shirt. I have about 1,500 of them. Concert T-shirts in general. And then I saw the Roll the Bones in 92. So really excited, really scared when I heard that they were coming on tour last year. For this year, of course, I always take your advice. I roll up to the box office the day of and buy my tickets. Well, hadn't purchased any tickets. And, of course, Friday before last, I guess it was the 26th, we lived 3 hours west of Fort Worth. So I rolled up to the box office, went and asked them if they had any tickets. Of course, that was going to be the first show that night, because they had such issues at the border with all the trucks. And I'll be damned, Eddie. They had Section 124, Row 2, face value tickets. Absolutely spectacular. So I bought them. 2 tickets cost me $253. It was like $608 altogether for both of them. That's face value, and tickets online, I mean, just they were $1,000 for those seats. And I thought, man, yeah. So anyway, we rolled up. It was Sunday night, and but when I was there Friday, I had a friend that worked security at Dickies Arena, and I got to go back behind the locked gate, and Annika was back there walking around. Of course, I can't bring out my camera, can't say anything, but I just thought, oh my God, how gorgeous she is. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. Anyway, so Sunday night we go to the show. Now, I've heard about just how awesome, Geddy Lee has completely refigured his diet, no dairy, to help with his voice. I remember all of this. And I've seen some of the... Well,
he told me that 10 years ago. I don't know if what he's doing now, but that's what he told me 10 years ago, or whatever R40 was. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that he still did it, because those LA footage that I've seen, his voice was incredible, absolutely incredible. So on Sunday night, it was still a spectacular song. I mean, spectacular show. He did sing several songs in the lower registers. 2112, they played the whole thing, and I just cried because I was 11 years old. So think about it. We're both 64 models. I turned 62 a couple weeks after you do in September, the 1st of September. So, but I have to tell you, it was incredible, Eddie. It really, truly was. I was just so stoked that I took the initiative and went and got those tickets on Friday before the show. And then, of course, everybody woke up on Tuesday. And right before the show on Tuesday, he has laryngitis, bronchitis. And, of course, but Melissa, he was having issues. Yeah.
I appreciate your call. I've got one other person who's been waiting forever to get on, and I want to try to get them real quick.
To tell you.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed Rush, and I get what you're saying about what a cool thing it is, because when I saw him in L.A. on the third night, the magnitude of the fact that this band that's so great that so many people love, and if you love them like we do, that you're seeing them again, sounding so good, looking so good, it's a really heavy thing. It's something you never thought you'd see. Leslie, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have such short time here, but you've been waiting forever, so really say quick. What you got to say real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. I just saw Night Ranger the beginning of June. I just want you to say they were awesome. I think they have the best harmonies in rock and roll. They were moving around. There was no opening band. They were great. And I think that might be a good topic. And also another good show topic I thought might